Hello, this is Jay Cooper, formerly Benjamin J. Cooper. This is video 2 of how I made and formed Google. So after the initial stage of starting Google, which I mentioned, we found this Bayview land myself, and investors bought the land and they began making the building which I designed, with the plants and the gyms and the swimming pools and the cooking classes. All my idea to keep people there working in IT, because you see, people get very bored working on computers and things and they need breaks. It's not like a job in Centrelink in Australia where you get a 5-minute break to go to the toilet and they tell you to hurry up and get back to your desk and give you a low-paid job to strike on keys and things. It's not like that. It requires special people with special IT skills, human resources skills, security skills, cybersecurity skills, special skills and management to get these jobs done and understand the mindset of somebody like myself who is an inventor and a creator. You see, Yahoo Chat has never had Google Maps. They've never had maps. That's why my product for Google Maps, when I made this product, when I made this as the sole creator of Google, before Sergey Brin and before Larry Page came on board to my company, I had a vision as an inventor to have the entire world mapped out. But initially it was just America and Australia I'd like mapped out, and then the United Kingdom. But then it became the entire world. And there was also a lot of security people that called me constantly when I was at university, Fireside and other companies that wanted to get, requests from myself, personal permission to use my invention cloud, or in my invention Google, to start up cybersecurity businesses. Because everything was new then, cloud was new. The mobile phones in 2007 became a better internet connection, So everything became better. In 2007, when cloud was released, Google had already got a start on these things and just kept building on them. So now the New York runs cloud security using Google, which took a lot of phone calls, but I gave them permission, and I've given the Pentagon permission to use my invention of Google to deal with security. So a lot of the military uses Google, as well as millions of businesses around the world have formed Google, including the Melbourne office in Australia. Before I went to Melbourne to work short term, my mother-in-law called that and said, well, you're using my Google symbol logo. I'd like to tell you who I am. This is who I am. I'm the founder of Google. And they'd offered to buy the Google office or work there. So I've had myself known globally to the people who started it. But some of the most important people who started the company were people from India who worked in IT for me, that we hired from India, and they have IT masters. They were the people that initially got Google going with myself, and the hard-working people that did Google Maps. But the first two gentlemen, they were Americans that started doing Google Maps out there for myself on a low pay, which is just our startup pay before we got funding, was very, very important to starting this, like world's first. So they are people that can never be forgotten by myself at starting these companies up. The location in California was very important. I chose it not very far from Mountain View, 380, 450 kilometers of driving to Mountain View, where Sergey Brin was running Mountain View with Larry Page. But the thing is, that was because I needed IT experts to help me out, where I could contact them, I could drive out if I need assistance. Several of the ladies could not fund things anymore, so they let Larry Page run it from this lady's garage, actually. So when they were finished from Mountain Page, they came home and worked out of her garage to help build up Google. But by that stage, I was already the sole owner of Google, whereas they had to ask my permission to come into Google. So that's something online. They'll say that they were the only co-founders, but I'm known as the only sole owner and founder of Google until I let them come in as co-founders of the company. So this is before the formation of the shares, before the shares were released and stuff. Or during that process, it was just run on one small building in California that's on Prime TV show. So if you go into Prime TV and you look up the documentary on Google, it will show you the small office, and you'll see the neon sign on the top level where they eat lunch. They don't show so much of that building. They do show it, and they do show little bits of things like having a meeting in the office in that video, and the lady who's in management and the other staff members in IT. But the main focus these days is when they called me, they were making a new office. They said, we're making a new office now. It's going to cost so-and-so money, which is quite a lot of money, but it wasn't that much, but it's quite a lot of money considering the time, and the business was only just starting to grow. When they made Bayview, and then they added in Mountain View as another campus where they do things. And also I was contacted by Israel to make eBay Israel, because I was interested in starting up eBay. I knew the owner of eBay and working with the owner of eBay. And they offered me to buy a block of land in Israel near where they were going to start building eBay in Israel for Google, and also Elon Musk has offered me to build factories out there for my inventions for robots in Israel in the same location. So it all came back to me as an inventor, as a young boy, being the top 5 inventors in the world that came up with this. At the time, I'd only had an IT certificate, and I'd done management and business studies, and I'd worked for my father's engineering company doing general office work. But I had more in common with just a general inventor like Charles Tesla or Benjamin Franklin. I had more in common with that than as an IT expert, if anyone wants to know. Because my brain is set as an inventor, and as a technologist and an industrialist. That's how it was as a young boy, when I was just full of ideas, from like age 8 years old up. I had films, movies, music going on. Some I thought was like just a fluke or be just one time, but when I repetitively kept coming up with these things, I knew it wasn't a fluke. And same with the technology like Google. So they just keep coming up and up and up and up and up and building up from there. So that's the end of video 2 of the formation of Google, which began with myself.